Hi, now we have our LaTeX set up, we have the sample files, we know how to type text, and we know how to type math. So finally, we can turn to what we really want to do, that is typing articles. By articles, I really don't mean articles, I mean any document that you care to type with LaTeX. But the sample article I'm going to work with is really a mathematical article. If you just want to type exams, you follow the same routine, and like for the title you type exam 403 or whatever. Remember, we are learning how to type documents, we just call those documents articles. In this introductory part, we are going to work with the introductory article, InterArt Tech. And here it is. And let's typeset it and get the typeset version. And let's take a look what we have here. Now remember, this is an introductory article, so we are not going to fully explore what you can do with an article, just the minimal stuff will be covered. An article has a title and an author. It may or may not have an abstract. It may have a diagram. It may or may not have references, and the author may or may not have an address. If it does, it comes here. I kind of skipped the date, which is at the bottom of the page, and a lot of other stuff can get to the bottom of this page. The article itself, from one introduction on, is split into sections, and everywhere in a math article you will find proclamations, that is theorems and definitions and notations and lemmas and corollaries, and we are going to cover in some detail all these things. So first let me put back what I have just taken off. A simple outline how an article, that is the source file, looks like. So the article starts out, well, maybe with its name, but the real first line and what follows is what we call here the preamble, the stuff that comes before the article. The most crucial line is the first one, document class, in this case AMS Art. LaTeX separates the content from the form. You will see that in the introductory article we indicate that we want an abstract. How the abstract will be typeset, LaTeX has to be told. In the introductory article we are going to say that here is a theorem proclamation. How it is actually going to be typeset, again, LaTeX has to be told. The same way the shape of a section title, the shape of the title, the way the address is displayed, the way the references are displayed, everything. All these instructions are contained in a document called document class. In this case it is amsart.cls, and that is the document class designed by the American Math Society for articles. You don't have to know what is in amsart.cls, you just invoke it with this line and everything follows. There are hundreds and hundreds of document classes for the introductory article, I use one of the best ones, the emsart.cls. The second line allows LaTeX to use a whole bunch of symbols. This is a listing of all the symbol names, the way we invoke them, like \theta, and what they really stand for. The third line is a package called graphics, which allows us to include graphics into the article. The next 4 lines are definitions of proclamations. We are going to talk about them in some detail, but these lines say that in this article we can use theorems and lemmas and definitions and notations. Of course, in a more complex article, there will be many more than 4 lines here. That is the preamble. I write a great deal in my book how you can design your preamble depending on what you wish to do. I provide lots of templates that you can just simply copy. The truth is somewhat different. Once you work out an article format for yourself, very likely the next article will simply be copied from the first article. You duplicate the first article, delete the content of the article and the title and whatnot, and just fill it in with the new information. Once you have your preamble done right, as a rule, you don't redo it. The article proper starts with begin document, and it is in the document environment, ends with end document. That is called the body of the article, and it has really 3 different parts: the top matter, the main matter, and the back matter. The top matter used to be the stuff. Here is the top matter of the introductory article. It goes from begin document to make title. This used to contain the stuff that goes into the top page of the document. That's why it is called the top matter. It contains information about the article, like the title, the author, the address of the author, the date, and the abstract, if there is an abstract. In the emsart document class, it turns out that all those information go here at the top of the first page. Some of the information, in fact, as a rule, quite a bit. In this case, this is a very simple example. Just the date goes as a footnote to page 1, and the address, which you find here, goes to the very end of the article as opposed to the top page. So calling this the top matter is a little bit misleading. Note that it is concluded with make title, which means typeset the title page and store away the stuff that goes somewhere else for later use. The real article is what we call the main matter. In this case, it starts here and goes all the way to the bibliography. And as a rule, the main matter is divided into sections with the section command, and the argument of the section command is the title of the appropriate section. If you attach a label to the section, then you can reference that number and I can say in section 1. In this case, the section has a label, introduction S:intro. I use the very nice convention that the label of a section starts with S. So if anywhere I will say ref S:intro, that will produce 1. So I want to say in section 1, I will type in section \ref S:intro. Finally, the main matter contains the sections, the diagrams, whatever is really the article. The back matter is the bibliography. In this simple setup, there could be more stuff that is in the back matter. Begin bibliography has a number following it. 9 means that we have 9 or fewer items in the bibliography. That will have to do with the spacing of the bibliographic items. That's basically an outline of how an article looks like. Let's go through the various pieces of the article we have mentioned. Well, the top matter we have already covered, although you may note some rules about it that you have to keep in mind. The double backslash where appropriate means new line. So for instance, in the title I use double backslash as a new line command to tell LaTeX how to break the long title into 2 parts. The address, which incidentally goes to the end of the article with this document class, has double backslashes to separate the various parts. In this case, you can see the whole thing is typeset in a single line. The double backslash just indicates the end of line from your point of view. There is not much to say about the abstract, except that when you write the abstract, keep in mind that this is going to be the abstract. So it will be read independently of the paper. So don't put anything in the abstract people cannot read without having to read the paper. So don't say that in this paper theorem 3 proves that, and don't use references either.